Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of The Source. So the cold streak didn't end tonight like I wanted. Mets, man. The Mets. I mean, the Twins was a plus 190 shot. Not mad at that loss, but the Mets. If you told me before the game, I just was talking to someone about this. If you told me before the game that the Mets were going to hold the Brewers to 2 runs at home with Colin Ray pitching, I would have bet thousands of dollars on the Mets. I can't believe they lost that game, but let's put it in the past. Move on to Tuesday. We got 15 games, loaded slate. Let's go.
Welcome to The Source. The Source. Source. Hey, get the Source.
First up, Padres at Pirates. Yu Darvish pitching against Rich Hill. San Diego opens up as minus 205 favorites. Total opens up at 9. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we got to lean on the Padres, obviously. 4-2 Padres after 5 innings. Final score 6-3 Padres. So Yu Darvish is on the mound, like I said, and I want you to check out his numbers from his first 7 starts in comparison to the numbers from his last 7 starts. The ERA discrepancy is serious here. Through his first 7, a 3.16 ERA, jumps all the way up to a 6.75 in his last 7 starts. That's over double. But before we move on, we need to take a look at the FIP numbers here. If you notice, it's just 355 to 421, not the hugest jump, which indicates that, yeah, maybe he's not pitching as well in the last 7 starts that he did to start the season, but he's not pitching nearly as poorly as the numbers indicate. Good news for Darvish, though. He's sitting in a beautiful spot here. This Pirates lineup has gone completely cold. Look at Pittsburgh's numbers against right-handed pitching in the last 14 days. They are dead last in every single category, and it's not even close. They have a 477 team OPS against righties in the last 14 days. That's over 100 points lower than Oakland, who's in 29th. To make matters even worse for the Pirates, these bats have terrible career numbers against Darvish as well. Combined, they're just 9 of 49 lifetime. That's just a 184 average, 204 slugging, and a 477 OPS. Absolutely awful. The last 4 righty starters to pitch against the Pirates, they combined for 24 1/3 innings pitched, 1 earned run. Combined. That's not 1 earned run per start. 1 earned run combined from the last 4 righty starters to pitch against Pittsburgh. So yeah, I think Yu Darvish should deal here. And on the other side, we've got Rich Hill pitching. And in case you haven't heard, the Padres are murdering lefties right now. 3rd in OPS, 3rd in WRC plus against left-handed pitching. I know Rich Hill hasn't been that bad recently. It's actually been somewhat formidable, but I don't see any way he holds this Padres lineup to under 3 runs here in the first 5 innings. So obviously, I love the Padres here. And when you take a look at the bullpen matchup, it gets even worse for the Pirates. Pittsburgh, in addition to having the worst numbers against righties in the last 14 days, they also have the worst, by far, the coldest bullpen in baseball right now. In the last 14 days, the Pirates bullpen has a 9.08 ERA. 29th place is Baltimore, and they're down at 7. So the Pirates bullpen has an ERA 2 runs higher than 29th place. This bullpen has been an absolute disaster. So Padres minus 1.5. No question here, no hesitation. Get it at minus 110 next game. Cincinnati at Baltimore. Andrew Abbott pitching against Tyler Wells. Baltimore opens up as minus 140 favorites here. Total opens up at 9. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. We got a slight lean on the Reds. 2-1 Reds after 5 innings. Final score 4-3 Reds. So are you or are you not a believer in this kid, Andrew Abbott? 24-year-old lefty starter for the Reds. Made his MLB debut just 3 weeks ago. He's made 4 career starts, and he's allowed just 3 earned runs total in those 4 starts, with 23 2/3 career inning pitched under his belt. Here's the downside. All 3 of those earned runs came in his last start, which was against Colorado. That's not a great look, especially if you're a lefty starter getting hit up by the Rockies lineup. I mean, Colorado has one of the worst lineups in baseball against left-handed pitching this year. That being said, 3 straight shutout starts to begin your career is still impressive. So was this Rockies game, was that a sign of Major League Baseball figuring this kid out, or is that just a speed bump? This Orioles lineup should be a real nice indicator of where this kid is truly at right now. A road start in Baltimore against a lineup that's, I mean, it hasn't really been hitting lefties well, but they're starting to improve a little bit. In the last 14 days, they're 18th in OPS, 16th in WRC+. Pretty middle of the pack lineup against lefties. So this is a really good testing point for this kid. On the other side, we've got Tyler Wells pitching. And here are his last 9 starts on a chart here. Obviously, the start at Yankee Stadium is an outlier. You can just disregard that one. He got absolutely rocked. Without that start, you can see the orange line, which is his earned runs, stays pretty consistently in between 2 and 3. This dude's been a solid starting pitcher week in and week out. Something that's a little concerning though, look at the white line. Those are his FIP numbers. Of his last 9 starts, he's got 5 games with a FIP 5 or higher. And if you look at the teams he pitched against in those games, Tampa, Toronto, the Yankees with Judge, Angels, and Braves. So it seems like we're beginning to see a little bit of a pattern with Tyler Wells. He handles bad lineups well, but struggles against good lineups. And if this was 5 weeks ago, I'd say, well, he should pitch well against the Reds then, because this isn't a good lineup. But that's not the case anymore. Look at Cincinnati's numbers against right-handed pitching in the last 14 days. 3rd in OPS, 4th in WRC+. This Reds lineup is scorching hot against righties. But I have to ask the same question that I've been asking for a few days now. When's the last time Cincinnati saw a good righty starter? Here's a list of the last 10 righties that have pitched against the Reds. Couldn't you make an argument that Tyler Wells is the best right-handed starter the Reds have seen in 3 weeks? I think that's pretty safe to say that. I'm leaning Baltimore on this one. I don't love the price, and it looks like it's moving the wrong way. I'm checking now. It looks like -140, -142. So it's not coming down. I like the O's. Not sure how I'm going to bet them yet. I'll let you know for sure on the live show at 4 p.m. next game. Giants at Blue Jays. Ryan Walker pitching against Kevin Gausman. I think it might not be Walker. We have no lines open for this game. No lines, no totals, which means maybe it won't be Ryan Walker. Usually what that means is starting pitcher still up in the air. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we got 4-3 Toronto after 5 innings. Final score 6-5 Toronto. So I'm going to skip this one for now. Like I said, no line, no total open. I'll let you know for sure what's going on the live show, 4 p.m. next game. Marlins at Red Sox. Sandy Alcantara pitching against Garrett Whitlock. Boston opens up as very slight favorites here, -115. Total opens up at 9. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. We got to lean on Boston here. 3-2 Sox after 5 innings. Final score 6-3 Sox. So Garrett Whitlock's on the mound, like I said. And look at the production we've been getting out of this dude recently. I know if you just look at his surface level numbers, it doesn't appear that he's pitching that well. But look at his FIP numbers in his last 5 starts. Hovering at 4 or lower for 5 straight starts here. Consistent production. And I know he's got to start against the Rockies and the Aaron Judge-less Yankees in there. 2 easy starts for him. But the other 3 are at Minnesota, Tampa, and at Arizona. Those are not easy spots for a right-handed starter. I think Garrett Whitlock has earned my trust a bit. I fully expect him to pitch well against a Marlins lineup that really shouldn't scare anyone against right-handed pitching right now. Here are their numbers in the last 14 days against righties. 24th in WRC+, 25th in OPS. Marlins just had a 4-game series against the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Pirates threw 4 straight righty starters at them. You want to know how the Marlins hit those 4 starters? 27 and 2/3 innings pitched, just 5 earned runs. So the 4 starters from the Pirates, who are listed on the screen, they averaged over 6 innings to start, and they allowed just 5 earned runs total against the Marlins. This is the Pittsburgh Pirates rotation we're talking about here. I think Garrett Whitlock is in a good spot to pitch an excellent game here. And on the other side, we got Big Sandy Alcantara. Here are his last 10 starts on this chart. You can see between the FIP and his earned run numbers, he pretty consistently hovers in between 5 and 6 runs per 9 innings. I know it's crazy, but we have to accept reality here. This is who Sandy Alcantara is right now. Will that change? Who knows? But I think right now we have to handicap this dude as a 5.50 ERA pitcher because that's what his production is showing. It's been enough of a sample size where we need to accept that now. I think the bigger question is the Boston bats. What do we really think of this Boston lineup right now? Here are their numbers against righties in the last 14 days. Not exactly impressive. 18th in OPS, 20th in WRC+. Doesn't give me a ton of confidence, but check it out. Look at the last 6 righty starters to pitch against the Red Sox. First of all, there's some strong arms on this list. Pablo Lopez, Bailey Ober, Sonny Gray, Joe Ryan, Giolito. And really only Joe Ryan and Giolito pitched good games against Boston. The Red Sox scored 3 on Lance Lynn, 3 on Sonny Gray, 3 on Bailey Ober. They scored 4 on Pablo Lopez. So maybe the numbers don't indicate it, but if you look at the last handful of righty starters to pitch against Boston, they're hitting them. I think the value's all over the Red Sox here in the first 5. And when we look at the bullpens, I guess there's a slight lean on Miami. Maybe the Marlins bullpen has outperformed the Red Sox a little bit, but not enough to throw me off Boston here. Both teams had a day off, so both bullpens are well rested. I'm going to roll with the Sox here. I like Boston in the first 5 and the full game. I'll definitely put the full game on there. Might also bet the first 5. I'll let you know on the live show next game. Brewers at Mets. Oh my God, the Mets. Julio Teheran pitching against David Peterson. David Peterson back from AAA. Mets open up as -175 favorites. Total opens up at 8.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, 3-2 Brewers after 5 innings. Final score 4-3 Brewers. So David Peterson makes his triumphant return to the big leagues. If you're wondering why David Peterson was sent down to AAA, well, look at his last 5 starts in late April into early May before he was sent down. He had a 9.99 ERA. This man literally could not stop giving up runs. And if you're thinking, oh, well, you know what? Maybe he went down to the minor leagues and got his shit together. You want to see his numbers in his starts in June for the Syracuse Mets? He made 4 starts in June. He had a 5.59 ERA and a 1.66 WHIP against AAA lineups. So no, I do not trust David Peterson at all. And now add on the fact that the Brewers have started hitting lefties recently. Here are the Brewers numbers against left-handed pitching in the last 14 days. 13th in OPS, 9th in WRC+. I know those don't sound crazy, but compared to what the Brewers were doing against lefties for most of the season, that's a huge improvement. I definitely expect Milwaukee to score runs in this game. I think we can count on the Brewers to grab at least 3 in the first 5 innings off Peterson. On the other side, we got Julio Teheran pitching, like I said, and he's been great. He truly has. In his 6 starts as a Brewer, look at these numbers: 1.53 ERA and an 0.88 WHIP. Absolutely excellent numbers on the season, but unfortunately, there's some negative regression on the horizon for Julio. If you look at his starts on this chart, his FIP numbers significantly higher than his ERA numbers across the board, which means he's had a lot of good luck this season. He's had some very fortunate defense behind him. There are runs on the horizon for Julio Teheran. So I want to blindly fade David Peterson, but I also think it's only a matter of time before Julio gets tagged up as well. With yesterday's game being super low scoring to start the season, I think I'm looking over in this one. It's up at 9. I'm going to go over 9 next game. Twins at Braves. Joe Ryan pitching against Bryce Elder. Awesome pitching matchup there. Atlanta opens up as -150 favorites. Total opens up at 8.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, 3-2 Atlanta after 5 innings. Final score 6-4 Atlanta. I'm going to skip this one for now. I want to see what the line does in the morning. I don't want to fade Joe Ryan, but I also don't want to fade Bryce Elder at home with the Braves bats either. So, I mean, if I could get Atlanta at like -125, I'd look at it, but it's up at like -145. So I'm going to skip it for now. When I see the line movement, I might have a player for this one on the live show. Next game. Astros at Cardinals. Framber Valdez pitching against Jordan Montgomery. Lefty-lefty matchup here. This one opens up as a pick'em, -110 across the board. Total opens up at 8. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we're looking at 2-0 Astros after 5 innings. Final score 4-2 Astros. So like I said, Framber Valdez on the mound for Houston, and he's obviously been dominant. Here are his 5 starts on the road this year. He's only made 5 starts on the road, surprisingly. But in those 5 starts, he's 4-1 with a 1.46 ERA and an 0.89 WHIP. Dominant numbers. I know that 4.81 FIP is a bit concerning. Maybe there's a bit of negative regression coming, but this is Framber Valdez. He's established himself as one of the best starting pitchers in baseball, so I think this is a guy we can rely on. So he set the pitch against this Cardinals lineup, and this team's numbers against left-handed pitching is just kind of a dice roll right now. Look at this graphic here. On the left side, you'll see the Cardinals numbers against lefties over the last 30 days. As you can see, terrible. 29th in OPS, dead last in WRC+. That's in the last 30 days. But on the right side, 9th in OPS, 9th in WRC+. Those are the numbers against lefties in the last 7 days. Basically, all of that production comes from one game. They absolutely slaughtered Mackenzie Gore in that Washington game. 9 hits, 5 earned runs. So you might be thinking, okay, the Cards bats are back against lefties. They hit up Mackenzie Gore. Well, they just saw Justin Steele and pretty much got blanked. 6 innings, 1 run, but that game was in London, so take that as you will. But they did see another lefty after that Mackenzie Gore game and did not hit him. Now let's take a look at the other side. We have Jordan Montgomery pitching, and this man really seemed to have figured things out recently. Look at his last 5 starts on this chart here. Both the ERA and FIP numbers hovering way below 4. Montgomery's been absolutely dealing, and I know at Washington and at Pittsburgh aren't the most impressive opponents, but he pitched against the Reds lineup and the Giants lineup in there. 2 lineups that have been really good against lefties recently. Montgomery was good in both these starts. And the Houston bats seem to have gone ice cold against lefties in the last 14 days. 27th in OPS, 22nd in WRC+. Houston has completely cooled off against left-handed pitching. The last 2 lefty starters to pitch against the Astros, Mackenzie Gore, again, and Andrew Abbott, they combined to throw 11 2/3 innings and gave up 0 runs. Both Mackenzie Gore and Andrew Abbott blanked Houston. So yeah, I think we can count on Jordan Montgomery to throw a great game here. And then when we look at the bullpen matchup, we're leaning Cardinals again. The Astros bullpen has been really struggling. If you see them matched up here, Cardinals bullpen has outperformed Houston. So I like the Cards here at home. Yes, even coming back from London, I know that's a bit concerning, but give me St. Louis money line. You can get it like plus 102 right now. Next game, Tigers at Rangers. Matt Manning is back. Manning's back in the rotation for Detroit. He's going to be pitching against Martin Perez. Rangers open up as minus 210 favorites. Total opens up at 9. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we got 5-2 Texas after 5 innings. Final score 7-3 Texas. I'm most likely going to pass on this one. I really don't know what to expect out of Matt Manning in his return to the rotation. I'm also not trying to lay minus 210 juice with a Rangers lineup that seems to be going cold. So maybe I'll have a bet on the live show, but most likely this is a pass for me. Next game, Phillies at Cubs. Ranger Suarez pitching against Jameson Taillon. Phillies open up as minus 120 favorites here. No total as of yet, as I'm recording this. No total open for this game. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and we're looking at 4-2 Phillies after 5 innings. Final score 6-5 Phillies. I know laying juice against a Cubs team that's 11-3 in their last 14 sounds kind of crazy. But I mean, the Phillies are 15-5 in their last 20 also, so the Cubs are not the only team that's red hot right here. And the truth is, I just really don't like this spot for the Cubs. First off, they're returning from London. They did have a day off, but they're returning from across the ocean, and now they have to face a red hot Ranger Suarez, who literally looks untouchable right now. I'm sure by now you've heard that Ranger Suarez started off his season terribly. He had a 7.13 ERA, a 164 whip. He was awful, but in his last 4 starts, holy shit. 104 ERA, a 104 whip, and a 265 FIP. He has really been excellent. And here's the most impressive part. You want to know who Ranger Suarez has pitched against during this hot streak he's on? The Braves, the Dodgers, the D-backs, and the Nats. Atlanta, LA, and Washington are all top 12 in WRC plus versus lefties on the season, and while the D-backs have historically owned Ranger Suarez, this guy is a must bet in his current state. He's also got really impressive looking career numbers against the Cubs through 56 career at-bats. Cubs are just hitting just 214 off Ranger Suarez lifetime with a 594 OPS. Now the Cubs bats are having a good year against lefties. From the start of the year all the way up to May 26th, about a month ago exactly, the Cubs were 4th in WRC plus, 5th in isolated power against lefties. Cubs were hitting lefties for the first 2 months of the season, but over the last 30 days, they have fallen. Just 19th in WRC plus, 16th in isolated power, 19th in WOBA. I think all signs point to Ranger Suarez continuing his dominance here. And then pitching for the Cubs, we have Jameson Taillon, and there's just not many numbers you can point to find a reason to trust this guy right now. Through his 12 starts, he's posted just 2 quality starts on the season. He's facing a Phillies lineup that regularly starts 5 left-handed bats, and that's a nightmare for Taillon. His worst spot is at home against lefties. A 476 WOBA, 3.1 home runs per 9, and a 205 whip. That's Taillon at home against left-handed bats, and the Phillies, like I said, regularly start 5 lefties. It only gets worse for Taillon when you look at his career numbers against the Phillies. He's made 4 career starts against them since 2018, and he's 0-3 with a 14.73 ERA, a 236 whip, and a 2.45 home runs per 9. Phillies have been an absolute nightmare for Jameson Taillon. One of those starts was earlier this season. He went to Philadelphia. He pitched 2 1/3 innings, allowed 6 hits, 3 walks, and 2 homers and 8 runs. I know the Phillies bats haven't exactly been lighting the world on fire recently, but hitting the road and going to see a pitcher like Jameson Taillon might be exactly what the doctor ordered for this team. Besides, they're still finding ways to win games, even though the lineup has been struggling. Like I said, they're 15-5 in their last 20. Now, when we look at the bullpens, this is where the Cubs have the clear advantage. The Cubs bullpen has really caught fire. In the last 14 days, Cubs are 1st in ERA, 1st in WOBA, and 1st in FIP. This might be the hottest bullpen in baseball right now. Phillies are in the bottom half of the league in most of those numbers. So I think for this game, the best bet is to go Phillies first 5. That line isn't open yet, but I'm thinking Phillies first 5 is going to be the play. I'll let you know for sure on the live show. Next game, Cleveland at Kansas City. Gavin Williams is pitching against Brady Singer. Guardians open up as minus 175 favorites here. Total opens up at 9.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. We got to lean on Cleveland. 4-2 Cleveland after 5 innings. Final score 5-4 Cleveland. So Gavin Williams, one of the top prospects in the Guardian system, he made his MLB debut against the A's, and things didn't really go that well. 5 2/3 innings. I mean, that's solid that he made it into the 6th, but 4 hits, 3 walks, a homer, and 4 runs to Oakland. Probably not how they drew that one up. And now he goes to Kansas City to face a Royals team that's, I mean, I guess you could say they're kind of hot for Royals standards. I mean, they're 4-5 in their last 9 games. I know 4-5 doesn't sound that hot, but considering they were 1-13 in their previous 14, I'd say that's pretty hot for the Royals. During the last 9 games, though, against right-handed pitching, they're 14th in WRC+, 15th in WOBA. So Royals against righties, I mean, for Royal standards, that's pretty hot. And the Royals have Brady Singer on the mound, and Brady's starting to catch a bit of a groove at home. Through his first 4 home starts on the season, he had a 9 ERA, 4.28 WOBA, 6.43 FIP. It was looking bad, but his last 5 home starts, 3.51 ERA, 3.23 FIP. He's really been pitching well in his last 5 home starts. That being said, his competition in those last 5, not the strongest. White Sox, Tigers, Nationals, Rockies, and Angels. Angels are solid. But the other 4, 28th, 29th, 26th, and 23rd in WRC plus first right-handed pitching. So he's had a bit of good luck scheduling wise. And unfortunately for Brady Singer, the Guardians bats have really woken up this past month. Here are their numbers the last 2 weeks against righties: 8th in WRC plus, 2nd in average, 7th in OPS. The last 4 right-handed starters to face the Cleveland Guardians, 8.85 ERA and a 195 whip. They really have been a tough matchup for a right-handed starter. And those starters that I'm talking about, that I just gave those numbers for, Corbin Burns, Freddie Peralta, and Paul Blackburn. So they haven't been hitting against schmucks either. I think we're going to be able to add Brady Singer to the list of recent right-handed starter casualties by this Cleveland Guardians lineup. He has dreadful career numbers against the Guardians. Through his last 5 appearances against Cleveland, he's 0-1 with a 7.66 ERA and a 1.52 whip. 4 of those games came at home in Kansas City, too. The current Cleveland Guardians lineup lifetime is hitting 359 off Brady Singer with a 949 OPS. So I don't think they fear this guy at all. That's through 78 career at-bats, too. So a decent sample size. I think Cleveland's going to rock this dude. And then when we get to the bullpens, obviously there's a huge edge for Cleveland. Cleveland has a bullpen edge over almost anybody. On the last 30 days, Cleveland's 2nd in ERA, 5th in WOBA, 7th in FIP. During the same span, Kansas City, 22nd in ERA, 13th in WOBA, 8th in FIP. I know there's a ton of sharp action coming in on Kansas City here, trying to take advantage of this little hot streak they're on, but go ahead, just getting me a better price on Cleveland. I'm on the Guardians here. They're a significantly better team than Kansas City. Give me Cleveland money line. It's at -114, -145. Might even lay the run at a half. We'll see, but definitely betting Cleveland in some way. Next game, Dodgers at Rockies. Clayton Kershaw pitching against Connor Seabold here. Dodgers open up as heavy favorites, like -380 or something. Total opens up at 11.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we're looking at 3-2 Dodgers after 5 innings. Final score 6-4 Dodgers. Look, are the Dodgers going to win this game? Probably, yeah. But this price is just insanely off, if you ask me. Clayton Kershaw's on the mound. Obviously, we know he's a beast, but look at his home away splits here. He's much more vulnerable on the road this season with a 130 whip, 405 FIP. He's much more hittable on the road. And look, against the Rockies lineup that really has terrible numbers against lefties. In the last 30 days, they're 21st in OPS, 24th in average. So yeah, maybe at a quick glance, you think Clayton Kershaw should dominate this lineup, but in his last 5 trips to Coors Field, he's 1-4 with a 5.90 ERA and a 1.48 whip. And if you isolate it to just his last 3 starts at Coors, that's since 2021, he's 0-3 with an 8.40 ERA. The Rockies have beat Kershaw in his last 3 trips to Coors, and that's with a 8.40 ERA and a 2.13 whip. I mean, would it be that crazy to see him beat Clayton Kershaw yet again for the 4th straight time? And then on the other side, we got Connor Seabold pitching, and yeah, he just got annihilated by the Braves, but the Braves are arguably the hottest lineup in baseball. He let up 9 hits and 9 runs, including 4 homers in just 3 innings. And also, you have to add in the fact that Connor Seabold did get sparked by the Dodgers earlier in the season, allowing 5 hits and 4 runs through just 3 innings. So you got those 2 facts. But other than that, I mean, Connor Seabold's 3 starts before the Braves start, he had a 2.08 ERA, an 0.92 whip, and a 2.58 FIP. He was throwing well, and that was against the Giants, the D-backs, and the Red Sox, 3 top 10 teams in OPS versus righties on the year. And yeah, maybe the Dodgers did hit up Connor Seabold earlier in the season, but this Dodgers lineup is not producing anywhere close to the same level as they were back then. Over the last 14 days, the Dodgers are just 25th in WRC plus, 25th in isolated power, 25th in average. During that same span, they sit just 23rd in WOBA, 25th in isolated power, and a 23rd in run value with a negative 3.2 versus pitchers versus righties with Connor Seabold's pitch mix. I don't think it's crazy to think Connor Seabold might throw a decent game. And look, say what you want about this Rockies team. They're not having a good season. That being said, they're still 15-11 in their last 26 at home. They're playing above 500 baseball at home. And with the Dodgers playing the way they are, I think this game's a bit of a coin flip. And if you're going to give me a coin flip with plus 255 odds on one side, I'm going to take it every time. So I'm on the Rockies here. I don't know if I'm going to take the actual money line. If there's an affordable price on like Rockies plus 2.5, I'll probably play it. So I'm going to bet Colorado in some way. I'll let you know on the live show next game. White Sox at Angels. Michael Kopech pitching against Shohei Ohtani. Angels open up as huge favorites here, minus 220. Total opens up at 8.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we got to lean on the Angels. Surprise, surprise. Not as crazy as a lean as you would think, though. 3-1 Angels after 5 innings. Final score 4-3 Angels. I'm going to skip this one for now. I would love to go super sharp and take the White Sox against Ohtani, but I don't think there's enough evidence there to do that. So I'm going to skip it for now. I'll see what the line does in the morning, but I think there's a good chance I don't bet this game. Next, Yankees are in Oakland to play the A's. Johnny Brito's on the mound pitching against Paul Blackburn. Yankees open up as minus 165 favorites. Total opens up at 7.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and we got to lean on New York here. 2-0 Yankees after 5 innings. Final score 4-1 Yanks. So you got the Oakland A's priced at just plus 120 against the New York Yankees. Something reeks here. Johnny Brito's back on the mound and looked dominant in his return from the minors. 5 2/3 innings of shutout baseball against Seattle. But I'm not throwing him a parade for pitching a good game against the Mariners. We've seen how cold that lineup can go. I mean, Kyle Bradish just threw a damn near no-hitter against them. And other than that start against Seattle that we just saw, Johnny Brito has really given us no reasons to trust him right now. Even in the minors, he was struggling. He had a 7.08 ERA and a 1.82 whip down at the minors. He gave 2.7 home runs per 9 against AAA lineups. And before being sent down, he was disgusting. 7.12 ERA, a 4.07 WOBA, 2.1 home runs per 9, and a 6.50 FIP in his last 8 starts before getting sent down to the minors. Oakland's already seen Brito this year, and they got to him. He allowed 7 base runners, 2 runs, and 2 home runs through 4 1/3 innings. In that start, he had a 996 FIP, indicating that his fielding really kept him from giving up a shitload of runs. It should have gone a lot worse for Johnny Brito in that game. The good news for Brito would be Oakland's recent numbers against right-handed pitching, because it's not good. It's down towards the bottom of the league. That being said, the last 3 righties to pitch against Oakland, Jose Barrios, Chris Bassett, and Gavin Williams, and they gave all 3 of those pitchers problems. The last 3 righties to pitch against Oakland, combined for a 5.40 ERA, 1.6 home runs per 9, and a 132 whip. So Oakland, yeah, cold against righties in the last 14 days, the last 30 days, but the last 3 righty starters to pitch against them gave him some problems. And Paul Blackburn's on the mound for the A's, and his surface level numbers are definitely nothing to write home about. 4.21 ERA, 1.48 whip. But the expected numbers are nice. A 3.27 expected ERA and a 3.00 FIP. Those are really nice looking. And there's one number in particular that really stands out to me here, on 0.7 home runs per 9 innings. The reason that's so significant is he's pitching against a Yankees lineup that's just been awful without Aaron Judge, as we know. 28th in WRC+, 27th in OPS, 27th in average. Against Paul Blackburn's pitch mix over the last month, they sit just 29th in WOBA, 28th in run value. The only redeeming quality, and this is where that comes into play, the only redeeming quality for the Yankees lineup is they've been hitting with some power, but that conflicts with Paul Blackburn's strength, which is keeping the ball in the ballpark. It's just a 0.7 home runs per 9. I think Paul Blackburn's going to pitch a good enough game to keep Oakland in this one. When it gets to the later innings, it'll be a bit of a coin flip. The Yankees bullpen has been good. So if you want to gamble and play Oakland money line at plus 120, I support it. But I think the best value is just to go Oakland first 5 money line. That line isn't open yet, so I'm waiting on the odds. I'll let you know what it is on the live show tomorrow at 4 p.m. Next game. Rays at D-backs. Taj Bradley pitching against Zach Gallen in Arizona. No line or total open for this one yet. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and we got no lean either way. 2-2 after 5 innings, 9-inning score, 4-4 tie. Obviously, I'm going to pass on this one for now with no line or total set. I will say I think Taj Bradley, like I said in the last video during his last start, I think there's a lot of value back in this kid Taj Bradley right now. I think there's positive regression coming for him. I'm curious to see where they open this line with Zach Allen pitching at home, though. I'll let you know on the live show what I ended up doing on this one. That'll be 4 p.m. next game. Washington at Seattle. Jake Irvin pitching against Brian Wu. Seattle opens up as huge favorites here, -260, and the total opens up at 8.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and we got a 2-2 tie after 5 innings. Final score 4-3 Mariners. So a lean on Seattle, but at -260, not that much of a lean. I like this kid, Brian Wu, but does he really deserve to be a -250, -260 favorite? I think that's kind of crazy, especially since this isn't even the greatest matchup for him. Sure, Washington's offense is nothing special. In the last 2 weeks against right-handed pitching, they're 6th in average, 15th in WOBA, 14th in isolated power, so average to slightly above average numbers. But what Washington does do is they regularly start 6 left-handed bats in their lineup, which is huge if you're familiar with Brian Wu's splits. He has been excellent against right-handed bats this season. A 156 WOBA and an 064 whip. Righties cannot touch this kid, but against lefties, it's been an absolute nightmare for this rookie. I mean, look at his numbers against left-handed bats on the season. A 327 whip and a 1309 FIP. I mean, he's just been throwing batting practice to left-handed bats. It's crazy because if you see how good he is against right-handed bats, I've never seen such extreme righty-lefty splits before. So I think we're looking at a bit of a sell high spot for Brian Wu here. He just came off 3 straight starts against righty-heavy lineups. Now he's pitching against the Nationals, who regularly, like I said, regularly start 6 lefties. On the other side, we got Jake Irvin pitching for Washington, and who knows what to even make of this kid anymore. I mean, if you remember, he started off the season with 2 back-to-back excellent starts and then was so brutal. He was one of the worst starting pitchers in baseball for a 5-start stretch, and now he looks great again in 2 straight. Really tough pitcher to get a read on. The good news is he's pitching against the Seattle lineup that, I mean, shouldn't scare you. I know they scored some runs last night. They have explosive bursts here and there, but as a whole, this isn't a lineup that really scares me, especially against righties. The bad news for Jake Irvin is he's also got some really ugly looking splits against left-handed bats, and Seattle regularly starts 5 of them. So the righty-lefty split's a big story in this one. Just like Brian Wu, Jake Irvin has solid numbers against right-handed bats. A 281 WOBA, 132 whip, 332 FIP. But just like Brian Wu, his numbers against left-handed bats are much different. 374 WOBA, 170 whip, and a 636 FIP. Not nearly as insane as Brian Wu's are, but still a significant difference against lefties. With both of these young pitchers coming off solid starts, I think this is a spot to fade both of them. I haven't fully decided yet, and this line isn't open as of right now. But I'm thinking first 5 over in this one. There's a chance I might throw a few dollars on Washington again, but they bit me in the ass last night. So I'm thinking first 5 over in this one. If anything changes with any of the bets I just gave out in this video, I'll let you know on Twitter. So give me a follow there if you're interested. Also, like I said, live stream, 4 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be me, Toast, and FTB. We're going to go through all 15 games. We'll cover the line movement. We'll make our final decisions. If you're able to make it at 4 p.m. Eastern time, we'd love to see you in the comments. Also, if you want the final tickets that we give out, those are on KyleKirms.com. And as the top bets parlay of the day, 3 of the last 4 days have been ugly, though, so we're due for a bounce back. Like I said, if you're interested in that, head over to KyleKirms.com. MLB Tuesday, the second best baseball day of the week. Remember to bet responsibly, and hit me up on Twitter if you need me.